Hello, good afternoon. On behalf of Rucunha Foundation, this is just to give you our welcome to be in this session, which we are very honored to have here. This is a joint initiative by Wellink Bank and the Rucunha Foundation. We thank you because this gives additional opportunities to further discuss matters that pertain to the interests of Macau and to the interests of mainland China, which is something that we are always looking for. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for the speakers' attendance, which we are very honored. I will leave the floor to João. João Rato, we will do a brief introduction on behalf of Wellink Bank. Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe occupy this space. Bem, muito boa tarde a todos. Em primeiro lugar, gostava de dar as boas-vindas, em especial aos nossos ilustres convidados do Brasil e a todos os amigos de língua portuguesa aqui presentes. É de facto uma honra tê-los aqui, bem-aja a todos. 各位嘉宾朋友们，晚上好。我谨代表立侨银行欢迎大家在澳门这个中西文化交融的地方参与我们今天的活动。And a very good evening to our entire distinguished audience. For the flow of the event, I will speak in English now. So on behalf of Wellink Bank, it's really a great pleasure to welcome everyone to this very important dialogue. First, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our co-organizer and host, Fundação Rui Cunha, and personally to our host, Dr. Rui Cunha. Muito obrigado. For his unwavering commitment to fostering meaningful conversations here in Macau, in the Foundation. So thank you again for providing this esteemed platform. I would also like to thank our distinguished moderator, Professor José Paulo Esperança, Professor and Director of International Partnerships at the Faculty of Business in the City University of Macau, with a vast experience, namely as former Dean of ISCTE Business School, my alma mater as well, where he was Pro-Rector for International Relations and Entrepreneurship, among other roles, very relevant roles, such as Vice President of the Portuguese Foundation for Science and Technology during 2022. And of course, our exceptional panel with Professor Alexandre Lobo, my good friend, Brazilian, Vice Rector of the University of São José. He will bring the academic view of innovation and entrepreneurship. Mr. Yuri Ribeiro, with whom I've met recently, and my recent friend, founder and CEO of Valor de China, a consultancy company from Guangzhou, and he will share on-the-ground experience of real companies from Brazil venturing into the great Chinese market. Then we have Mr. Felipe Assis, Dr. Felipe Assis, a lawyer from São Paulo, from PK Advogados. He will address the same issues, but from a critical point of view, the legal point of view. And last but not least, Mr. Rodrigo Barbosa, co-founder of Modular Park Brazil and CEO of IPANT, an education institute for aviation, and he will provide us also a practical perspective of implementing a project and his view on the opportunities that China brings to Brazilian entrepreneurs. So thank you again for joining us. Your expertise is actually and essentially the cornerstone of today's discussion. So why are we here tonight? So we are here to discuss this puzzle, a puzzle of immense scale and opportunity, the China and Brazil economic relationship. So Brazil is, of course, the heavyweight of the 9 Portuguese-speaking countries. So what best way for us, Wellink Bank, to start this series of seminars than with Brazil. So we believe that Brazil has an increasingly strong voice in the world affairs, and it has a huge potential both as a cultural powerhouse as well as an economic giant with extremely interesting economic fit with the Chinese economy. Brazil's population, both in terms of its sheer size and its ingenuity, and of course its landmass, make it a country with a very bright future ahead. But we see the trade numbers, we hear the political statements. However, on the ground, a key piece seems to be missing from this blueprint, and that piece is Macau. So this is the key question, and this event is born from this simple and powerful belief that Macau can be more than a concept, it can be a concrete solution, it can be the strategic piece that de-risks partnerships, facilitates investment, and adds tangible value. So it is our sincere hope that this is the first of many gatherings that we will organize along the lines of this one about the opportunities with Portuguese speaking countries and China through Macau. And with that, I will hand over to our panel. Each speaker will make a brief presentation of himself and their companies, their responsibilities, their vision. And then afterwards, Professor Esperança will open the discussion, which we hope it will be fruitful, and everyone is more than welcome to participate. I'm confident you will find this next hour very enlightening and actionable, and afterwards we will have a cocktail for networking. So, Yuri, you may start your presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, João. It was a great pleasure to meet you in Guangzhou, a few weeks ago. And I thanks a lot, appreciate the invitation from Rui Cunha Foundation. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here today. And also the co-organization from the Wellink Bank. And I feel like I have been living in China for 15 years. So my first, my home is Brazil, but I feel like China is my second home. And I have a very special feeling for Macau because I never had so delicious kind of Portuguese Brazilian food in China mainland. So the language, the food, and all the habits. So I feel like every Brazilian that visit Macau, they will feel like it's like it's a small piece of, could be Brazil or Portugal or any of these Portuguese language speaking countries. So I already mentioned I've been living in China for 15 years, and I want to just share a little bit of what I see, what's happening in Brazil. So the key point is, again, I'm Yuri Ribeiro. I have been living in China for 15 years. And Brazil right now is the 10th largest economy in the world. So we vary, sometimes we're the 9th, but right now we're the 10th. And we are very strong partner of China, in both import and export. So this presentation mainly is to show some big figures about what is happening in the trade between Brazil and China. So this chart, it's an easy way to understand what is happening. We have here, these sides here is our import partners. The main one is China. So, all right, let's just check the total here. So the import plus import, the total annually, we're talking about $600 billion. So this is the total flow of import plus export, the commerce between these two countries, Brazil and China. So here, China is responsible for 24% of the all import from Brazil. It's about $65 billion per year. It's followed by United States, Germany, Argentina, and so on. And when we see about the products, the main products is like electronics, we say telecommunication products, equipment like Huawei, it's exporting a lot of equipment for the 5G technology. And we see also electric energy, like solar energy. So China in the past 10 years export a lot of solar panel. Brazil, up to 10 years ago, had less than 3% of the total electricity produced by solar panels. If we see like some countries in Europe, this number was much higher. So most of the Brazilian companies that invest in this solar panel in 2015, 16, they're very big now. So this is a very recent, so this solar panel, it's, so solar is here. And also another product that Brazil import a lot from China is electric vehicles. So last year, BYD exported about 100,000 cars to Brazil, especially because there was going to happen some tax increase in middle of the year. So before that, they export a lot. And now they established one factory in the state of Bahia. So electric vehicles is also a big part of this. And for United States is also a very important partner for Brazil. We import also a lot of equipment like machines and so on. And here, the other side, when we talk about export, Brazil also export a lot to China, and about $95 billion per year, and mainly like some commodities, like iron ore, soybean, beef, and recently also corn and sugar and like orange juice and so on. So United States is also a big partner. We import a lot we export a lot of United States. It's like also soybean, like coffee, and aircraft from Embraer. So it's a big buyer. And the second chart, we see how important China is in the relation of trade relation with Brazil. Brazil, there are 26 states, and we have like the capital of Brazil is Brasilia. So total we have 27 entities. Among these 27 entities, every entity that you see the flag of China, it means China is the biggest trade partner of that state. So these 27 entities, 14 or 15 actually, they are China. So China is most of Brazil. Like some are not China, but mostly are China. And here we see which product every state export to China. So here we are talking about export. So mainly soybeans. Soybeans is the number one. 70% of the soybean imported in China is from Brazil, come from Brazil. So soybean is the main market, and this keep increasing, especially because they recently, like this trade disagreement between USA and China. So we see that the ratio of the imported soybean from Brazil increased. So we see also sugar. 90% of sugar imported in China is from Brazil. It's also a very big market. Oil, iron ore. Iron ore, we have two big players in the world. One is Vale, it's a Brazilian company, and the other one is BHP. It's an Australian company, but it's also a big amount. We see also some paste preparation. This is here. This is to produce paper. Brazil has a big company. It's called Suzano. They export a lot, over $2 billion per year to China. This is their revenue in China. So this here is some products. There are top 1, 2, 3, and 4 products that Brazil is the main producer in the world. So here we see already soybean, coffee, sugarcane, orange, chicken, beef, tobacco. This is all Brazil is the main producer in the world, and most of them we export to China. Like coffee, it's a bit interesting. Like coffee, up to 2022, in China you could ask anyone if Brazil produced coffee, they will say no. But recently we see a lot of marketing because Luckin Coffee, they closed some very big contracts with like Brazil. So they sign like 5, 10 years supply contract. So right now we see more in the media that more and more like Chinese citizens are aware that Brazil is a big player in the coffee business. So we see also some other here top three like several fruits and Cole's milk. Brazil, like I never seen like a Brazilian milk in China, so I see this is also as opportunity. More we see more like French or New Zealand, Australia. And this is another chart that we can see every state, what is the percentage that they export to China. So for example, this is the number one, the biggest, this state is called Piauí. So all their export, 66% go to China. This is mainly soybeans. So most of these states, they are very strong in soybean. So either soybean or this is my hometown, Minas Gerais, 34% of all the export from Minas Gerais goes to China, and mainly iron ore. There's a strong production of iron ore in Minas Gerais. And what I see, the future of Brazil, we see like sectors in the economy that is growing a lot. Is still like agriculture. This is a big growth sector. We see like potential in drones. We see more and more Chinese going to Brazil to offer like drones. Like we have these consumer small drones, but we have like some huge, like some of them cost even $50,000, like one some big drones using for agriculture. So we see more and more players, and this is very new. Like in Brazil, there are like 6 or 7 big players in the drone market, and all of them they were founded in 2018 or after. So this market is growing a lot, and that's new. So China is supplying a lot of drones to Brazil now, and we see like more technology and opportunity in fertilizers, bioenergy, and machinery, everything to make the Brazilian agriculture more efficient. And another sector that is growing a lot and we see as a potential to keep growing is e-commerce. The past like 5 years, mainly the e-commerce in Brazil grow a lot. I believe most of the countries in the world. And Brazil, it's the 4th largest internet market in the world. We have 180 million users. So we see like these platforms like Instagram, Facebook, most of them, they have Brazil as one of the main market. And we see some platforms in Brazil. These are the main marketplaces in Brazil. Mercado Libre, Amazon. Mercado Libre, most of people believe they're Brazilian, but actually they're from Argentina. But they're very big in Brazil. And Amazon, they stay a few years in Brazil. It looks like they didn't want to compete. But after they saw like Chinese companies coming, they put more money and they grow a lot. They grow a lot in the past years. And I think in Brazil, the most interesting case is this company. Some people say Shein or Shein. Nobody knew this company 5 years ago. Even in China nowadays, nobody knows this company. But in Brazil, there are like some companies like Casas Bahia, some other companies doing business for 50 years, 100 years. This company, they got 30% of the market share in 3 years. They did like some unbelievable business in Brazil, and they keep growing a lot. So Shopee and Shein, they're like they're making all the Brazilian company. It's Chinese, yeah, they're both. Shopee is also Chinese. They have, I think they have like some holding in Singapore, but it's Chinese, yeah. And and Magalu, they did some partnership with AliExpress, so that was the way to I think keep competing. So we see growing a lot. We see some players, big players, Mercado Libre and Amazon. Now these players, they became everything. They are banks, they are like tech companies, they are logistics, and they have all the ecosystem ready. And we see more Chinese company going to Brazil now. And we see sectors about products that is growing a lot in Brazil is like healthy products is growing a lot. The Brazilian market for healthy products is huge. Like healthy products, We see here pet products for cats, dogs, and cosmetics. This market is really big in Brazil, same as China, but Brazil people, they're using more and more like this type of products, so it's growing a lot. And here we have like just a photo of coffee because this is a very important product for the history of Brazil. So we are connecting agro and e-commerce. We see this connecting agro to e-commerce as a potential opportunity for people who want to do business in these two sectors. That we still don't see big players, and we still see a lot of opportunities. And this is about Chinese companies that invest in Brazil. The State Grid is one example in energy, COFCO in agribusiness. They're very strong in soybeans, like bringing soybeans from Brazil to China. BYD also, they export a lot, and also this year they started a factory in Brazil. So their plan is to export electric vehicles from Brazil to the whole South America. And we see this as a potential, so adding here, we see resources, agriculture in Brazil, technology capital in China as a good synergy, not just to feed the world, but to connect the world. And so we see as a cycle, we see opportunities, and sustainability is something very, very trend, like we see both agribusiness or logistic. We see more and more companies focus on sustainability, and these together can enable companies to keep like growing or even have accelerated growth. So this is just the last slide. This is my company name, Valor da China. I think here is I feel like the easiest way to explain, I just don't need to explain this word, Valor da China in China, was quite hard to explain the meaning, and I had to find some Chinese characters, but the name is Valor da China Consulting. The meaning is like to connect, like China and some other parts of the world. We believe that not as only as a trade, but also as a commercial bridge, like cultural bridge, fostering lasting win-win partnership between Brazil and China, but not only Brazil, Macau, and Portugal, and many other countries. I normally focus more in Brazil, but I believe all the countries speaking like Portuguese language, they should be together and working together to unite all the strengths and have like a mutual benefits. So again, it was a great pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot. Yeah, Rui Cunha Foundation and Link Bank. Thanks, Ron, for the invitation. And thanks, everybody, all the audience.
Ok. Então, sou privilegiado. Okay, I got my own microphone. So good evening, good afternoon. Well, I'm here as the Macanese representative, right? Brazilian Macau person. So after this wonderful presentation we had here, I am Professor Alexandre Lobo. I'm from the University of St. Joseph here in Macau. First of all, I'd like to thank also Link Bank and Rui Cunha Foundation for the great idea of bringing this discussion. I think these four different views of this relationship and integrated or conflictual, I don't know, we're going to see, but it's what we want, right? We want the discussion. So my role here, I didn't bring any PowerPoint. I want to bring I think my major mission here is to try to bring this big or huge operation, right, into some view from someone inside Macau, right? Well, I'm from the education sector, research, innovation, but my idea here is to bring some cases or stories that we can think about how Macau can position in this arena, right? So at the University of St. Joseph, we've been trying several initiatives, as Macau has been doing for a while. Right? Macau has this historical role, is already historical, right? 25 years of the handover. We have this role of integrating or platform of connection between China and Portuguese-speaking countries. And we are seeing lots of effort in these 25 years to make this happen, right? So of course we have very successful initiatives already, right? With some government connection, right? And different agents in the society, like a university, like us, we've been trying to do our role as well in this integration. So the first idea I would like to share is I'd like to call as a community building to see if we can find this niche or one niche to Macau. We've been doing at USJ one effort for the exactly 1 year ago. We co-organized one event during the MIF last year, the Macau Fair. We hosted one event focused on blue economy, mostly integrated in Macau, Hong Kong, and some people from the Greater Bay Area. And we started to discuss and create like a community in this area. 4 months later, 5 months later, we had one Portugal Macau symposium focused on blue economy, the water and everything, like biotech and those things. And this also created a big connection with Portugal. A few months later, we had one colloquial co-organized with IPIM, the Agency for Promotion of Investment in Macau, also focused on blue economy, in which we brought representatives from the government from all the Portuguese-speaking countries. So we had like local Greater Bay Area, we had Portugal, Macau, and we had government from several areas. Some very focused on fisheries, some very focused on more like regulatory. But this is what I'm calling here as community building, right? We were trying to develop some awareness in this area to see the opportunity of how Macau could play a role in this blue economy world that we have, the cosmetics, lots of cosmetics, or even food supplements or whatever, right? There are several opportunities in this area. So now, 1 year after, we had the MIF again, and we had one significant step with the representatives of the Ministry of Fishery and Aquaculture from Brazil. I don't know if you joined them during the MIF, but then they came here as an official visit to Macau as a follow-up of all these efforts that we've been doing. So, of course, so the idea of the visit was to see aquaculture or fisheries investment or connection, right? Of course, this will not be done in Macau, right? So needs to go to mainland China, and Macau needs to play this role of being the platform, right? So if we think only as a connection, right? This was extremely successful, right? But Macau needs more, right? We need to be like in the middle of some process, right? Some procedural. And then we see the development of hunting as an alternative to see how this large-scale implementation of something like that may be able to do something, right? For example, we have now several companies interested in coming to understand how can they develop in hunting, right? So, and then I come to my second story that I want to share. First is community building, right? This thing of raising awareness about one topic and putting actors together. The second is the initiative that we are running in the area of innovation. Because if it, in my opinion, I'm not a specialist, I'm an academic, right? I'm not a specialist in trade, I'm a bioengineer, but I'm very connected to this innovation area here. And of course, we've been working in the creation of an ecosystem in Macau, also with multiple actors, like universities, society, government, to build a platform suitable for innovation and technology. Here, with the 1+4, right? If you think about the 1+4 in Macau, everything is mostly related to technology, right? It's like biotech, it's health tech, it's big tech, right? It's tourism 4.0, big tourism, TCM with a strong focus on technology, right? So basically, when we see a picture like, oh, Brazil is producing soy, Brazil produces meat, sugar, iron, right? Of course, these businesses are not coming to China through Macau, right? Not possible. The big players, they deal directly themselves, and the contracts are signed. No one will come here to do that. So Macau needs to find this niche into this, and I think the government is betting on these areas with aggregated technology and services, because I think they are the core thing that Macau can do, right? So we've been doing this development of the one incubation center here, the Macau Spin, and we also created one Sino-Luso Business Development Center in Hanqing, and we created what we call the Greater Bay Area Network, which is a network of different entities in the Greater Bay, so incubator, innovation centers. So we can have like a minimal, or, well, it's actually, our partners in China are huge, right? But from our perspective, what we want is to have this link, this connection, whenever we need something. So, and then what we see is that potentially, if we can really explore this idea of hunting with a platform of real benefit to the companies that are coming, right? There might be one big opportunity to attract high-value companies in the technology sector to explore this. Not only from Brazil, from Portugal as well. And I think this possibility of regulatory implementation, right, to be very clear to who is coming, right, it's consistently getting better, right? It's, if you think about hunting 4 years ago and what we have now, is completely different, right? Not only in the infrastructure, but also in the regulation, right? Regulations are more clear. Some regulations were created as well, implemented, right? So I think the big opportunity would be there, right? And also, there are some potential inverse path as well, right? We've been contacted by several companies in China that wants to go to Brazil and would like to have also some kind of support from our center, right? So basically, my message I would like to leave here is that Macau is positioning, right? Is trying, is keep testing some waters, right? But this is part of the game, right? It's something that is happening. Things are moving, right? From my personal opinion, the MIF and CPLPEX this year was far the best, right? Very dynamic with real connections, I think, not only superficial things, but really happening. And I think also, and then we have our colleagues from Brazil here, I think what we need it's not going to happen. You come here 2-3 days and sign a big contract, right? So the companies from Brazil and Portugal cannot come here with this expectation of, oh, I go to Macau because there's a platform and I'm going to close the big deal of my life. It's not. You have to invest, right? You have to come and understand and see how you get to the market and see how you fit. Because I usually tell the companies, there's 3 major challenges, right? You in China for 15 years, you are dealing with China. So 3 big challenges, right? One is regulation, right? You need to be regulatory marks, understand everything, have a good law firm. There are some law firms here, right? So, yeah, and regulatory. Second is cultural, right? Cultural, how the companies will make business here is very relevant as well. And the third one, I think we have to pay attention is competitiveness, right? The market in China is very competitive, right? There is not here is the blue sky with lots of fights, right? So if you have good product and you enter the market, probably you'll be successful, right? Because the market is too big. But to enter the market is a big competitive arena environment, right? So these 3 are things that every company must be aware from Portuguese-speaking countries, from Brazil. And I think the actors in Macau, the institutions, the players that are here, we are all trying to play a good role here. And I'm sure what is happening now are very concrete steps. So hopefully we will have more and more connection with Brazil. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here, so I'd like to repeat the thanks of all of the speakers in the name of the organization. It's always an honor to be able to share some insights on Brazil and China markets and how, especially in Macau, how to utilize this hub as a potential platform. I have a very tough job for 2 reasons. First, because the 2 first speeches were so good that I will try my best to fill the voids and add a bit of a thought on what I believe it's interesting. And the second one is that as a lawyer, I will try to utilize law as a tool to explain what I want to say, which to some might be not so interesting, so please bear with me. As a quick introduction first, my name is Felipe. I am a Brazilian qualified attorney in the states of Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. Our law office is headquarters in São Paulo, although we cover the full territory. We are a middle-sized, to Brazil standard. Mainland China, you know, has this law firms with thousands and thousands of associates. But to Brazil, we are a middle-sized law firm with full service, full corporate service. So we do everything required for foreign companies to establish in Brazil. And we have been proudly doing for the past 24 years. Soon to complete 25 years in the upcoming months, so we're very excited on that. Okay, I want to start sharing some thoughts on the nature of the China-Brazil relations in the past few years, and without exercising a future imagination, to try to head to some direction what I believe will happen in the short-term future. We had the very interesting data and graphs and images about what Brazil does to China in the terms of commodity trading. I'd like to call that a first-level cooperation because it is essentially based on the natural conditions that were handed by whatever entity you might imagine to Brazil. You cannot pick up the iron ore mines that are in Minas Gerais, which to the Portuguese speaking here know what it means, the state, right? General mines. You cannot pick the soil in which the soybeans grow and transport to somewhere else. Brazil was handed these natural resources by, again, forces of nature. And we have been exploring that for the past few years. On the other hand, China has this massive population in a huge country and is in dire need of the natural resources that we so possess. China has always also developed an industrial powerhouse and technology that has been supplying Brazil for years and years on end in industrialized goods and some technology. Again, a first level cooperation, which for the past, I don't know how many years, has been very successful on the two sides. We see now what I want to call a second stage of cooperation, right? And we mentioned that in the e-commerce, the technology, AI, solar panel, e-cars, blue energy, and so on and so forth. This is a deepening of the ties between Brazil and China, to my personal understanding, a very successful way. Because now, not only we are dealing with what we've been, the hands that we've been held, using a playing cards analogy, I think in the best way possible here in Macau, but also to what we've managed to develop from it. Brazil did not stop in merely planting and sowing soybeans. We developed a very strong agri-tech industry. We have aviation industry. China also developed a very deep technology, did not stop in making simple industrialized goods. So we are seeing the conversion of the second hand or the second stage cooperation between Brazil and China. And again, not trying to predict the future, but let's imagine a third level of cooperation, right? A cooperation where the universities are fully integrated, where the research and development centers are cross-border, and where China and Brazil have a broader understanding of what, as developing economies, as developing world, takes to move hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, out of poverty. This is it's a different animal of its own. And as a different situation, it requires different solutions. So I want to move a bit to what Macau has to offer in this second and third stages, because as we mentioned, the first stage is almost a plug and play situation, right? We have what China needs. China has what we need. Is just put them on shipments and ship to China. Macau was also handed some very good cards to that perspective. Occupied by Portuguese and with Portuguese language as their official language, it can act as a hub, as Hong Kong did for so many years with the English-speaking community, between China and the Portuguese language. It was no accident that the Portuguese landed here, of course. Macau is a very important geographical position in the sea of South China Sea, and as a hub, logistic hub throughout the whole area. But more importantly, Macau has developed for so many years interesting institutions, such as banking institutions, to what we are all grateful for being here, legal institutions, and also financing institutions. Macau does not have iron ore, soybeans, or a big space, although hunting was playing a vital role in it to take part, and has to explore its natural resources, which are its people and its talents here. I try to avoid using the word legal and law for now, but let's face it, it's important to notice one country, two system by mainland China can take great benefit of the different jurisdiction that Macau has. We were just discussing with a few colleagues here how the dispute resolution methods here in Macau can be the best of the two worlds, perhaps three worlds, because you can have a multilingual procedure in Portuguese, Chinese, and English, or Portuguese and English, or Portuguese and Chinese, rather I say, in a way of cooperation that is strategic to both parties, meaning that the mainland Chinese do not want to arbitrate in São Paulo, the Brazilians do not want to arbitrate in Shanghai, and be truthful in a more competitive way than Hong Kong or Singapore or New York or London or whatever you want to call it. The main barrier now, to my humble understanding, is education. You know, we come here to Macau, and in Brazil we hear comments in different ways. Macau, sorry, what? What is Macau? You're going to gamble? People are still being educated on the role of Macau and the importance of Macau for this third stage, second stage cooperation between Brazil and China. So that's why when I received this invitation, I was so happy to be able to contribute here and to mainly hear about the perceptions of the role that Macau will play in this next upcoming years. I don't want to take too long on my speech because I would rather have some exchanges in Q&A. But I think that Macau can join China market, Brazil production or natural availability with the world's market in a way that perhaps no other place in the world can. Hunting right by here was my first time this past visit. Although I've been to China many times, I've never had the pleasure of being to Hunting. Shows that the central government is committed into fostering this natural talent that Macau has. And I think that we, everyone in Brazil specifically, we're going to go back home. We have a lot of homework to do of educating people, of explaining this importance. We need to grab this opportunity by the hand. So again, I'm going to promise to keep it short. I think I just wanted to share just few thoughts on my personal view of the Brazil and China market, but also the fundamentally important role that Macau has to play. And it will not happen by its own. We need to make efforts for that, both from the Brazilian side, but also from here. We need to keep the bilateral institutions focused. We need to come, as you mentioned, it does not suffice to be here once for a couple of days and then go back to Brazil and think that magic is going to happen. No, we need to build this long-lasting partnership. And it's a great pleasure to be able to try to contribute for this strategic partnership. So again, thank you very much for the invitation. Let's keep the Q&A going. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening to everyone. It's really hard to to talk after all my friends, but I will try to share a little bit with you. Sorry, I have to read a little bit here, okay? My name is Rodrigo Barbosa. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight at Macau. Macau is a city to connect the East and West in a very special way. I'm 44 years old. I'm graduated in the business administration. I have post-graduation in strategic planning, executive advisory, and airport management. Okay, I have more than 20 years in airport administration in Brazil, and I also work with advertising, business projects, and finance. So the world is changing fast. The new global challenges are pushing countries to work together in a smarter ways. The relationships between Brazil and China is very strong, but now we want to move beyond raw materials. We want to build new bridges in technology, education, and sustainable business. And I believe Macau can play the key role in this new chapter as the safe and creative platform that connects people, companies, and opportunities. Macau is a very unique place. It speaks Chinese and Portuguese, and it understands both cultures deeply. For us in Brazil, a place is a place to meet, to trust, to create projects that really happen. I believe this is time to turn Macau's potential into a real results for all sides. I will talk about my 3 companies, okay? The first one is Modular Park Brazil. We work with a smart construction. The modular park is system made of steel. It's a fast, low cost, and co-friendly solution for parking problem in the big cities like São Paulo. The technology from Italy, Carpentry Mussini, that has more than 60 years, okay? And now we are expanding internationally. We're introducing Brazil, and we are looking for partners, investors to grow into Brazil, into Macau, and the other countries. This year, Modular Park Brazil received the Outstanding Enterprise Award, OEA, for the PSC's 2025 here in Macau. Big honor for us. The other one, all these three companies we present at the MIT and CPLPX, okay? The IPENT is a professional institute of aviation, business, and technology. We offer professional courses and to help people to find jobs and new careers. And IPENT is also received the OEA for PSS 2025. Our next step is to create, we hope to create training centers and education programs between Brazil and China, together with Chinese partners. We are now open to cooperation and investment to make this international education project real. The other one, finally, the Cozen Global. Cozen Global connects business cultures and institutions between Brazil, China, and Portuguese-speaking countries, okay? This year, this company, we bring for here 3 companies, food companies, pasta, coffee, and other sauce and things for barbecue. Is for really good reception at the CPLPX. And for 2026, we also talk with IPIN to help us to bring more companies, more brands here to Macau to present these companies here to make business. So our plans to bring many companies here to promote Brazilian products and partnerships in Asia. We believe Macau can become the main hub for Brazil business and want to grow in Chinese markets. Okay. The China and Brazil puzzle has many pieces: trade, culture, education, and innovation. And I truly believe that Macau is a piece that connects them all. So tonight I invite you, investors, institutions, and entrepreneurs, to join us in this journey. Let's build the partnership, share ideas, turn them into actions. So, thank you very much. Okay. Another thing, other things that my friend told before. Many people in Brazil don't know Macau. When you talk about China, they know a lot of other cities, no Hong Kong, no other place, but Macau, no. They don't have no idea a place to speak Portuguese here in China. So we have to create more programs to share this with Brazil, okay? In education, we have to bring more and more companies here to know China, to know specifically Macau. I think we can do a lot of business here. We have many companies many friends interested in come here, and in the next few years. And another thing that I want to know, that in my opinion, in my experience, today I went to Macau International Airport to know the administration of airports, and I think it's a point of interest. I point to I point to I have to my English. Sorry. The airport is the smaller than the big five here, but it's very hard to have flights for here, like Hong Kong. It's more expensive. Came here directly to Macau. I think all my partners came all from Hong Kong. So I think it's the government and the administration has to talk more about this with companies and create projects to grow up the operations of airports, yeah, and more other projects, not just tourism and for casinos, etc. But we have a lot of things to do together. Principally in education, it's a very special way to do that. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for these fantastic presentations. Very complimentary. I do believe that they give us a much better picture. I must acknowledge that I learned at school when I was 7 or 8, maybe, that the whole name of Macau, Cidade do Nome de Deus Macau, maybe some people here don't know that. And I knew that there were 2 islands, Taipa and Kuluan. That's no longer true, because there is Kotai, and it all changed very much. And we are in the middle of a fantastic transformation, and everything is moving so fast. But we still play a role, all of us, in my view, and it's fantastic that you all can do a very important work there in moving from the first level of cooperation, which is indeed obvious. There are no 2 economies in the world more complementary than Macau, than China and Brazil. Indeed, the level of trade that exists makes a lot of sense, although I think that there could be some changes there and some improvement also in the type of products and value added that is included there. And of course, we live in a world of barriers to trade that are being erected. I hope that there will be a change of that, but indeed, we do need in many cases to move onwards from trade to direct investment. And indeed, the example of BYD is a good example of that. There are many more. I should also congratulate the organizers of this event, of course, Wellin Bank and the Rovigna Foundation. I come here very often, and it's always a pleasure to listen to the great talks that take place here. And they will certainly not take a long time here. I would kick our discussion with a little question to each of the speakers, if it's okay. I tried to bring some topics that occurred to me also from knowing your expertise and your presentations. And I would start with Yuri, if I may call you so. I recently heard on the Macau television, on CTM, that Fernanda Gomes de Paula, she is a representative of the trade of the government of Brazil,
and she was very concerned with the possibility of exporting. Actually, she was speaking about fish products and shrimps to China and maybe through Macau. And we do know that although there is a lot of trade on traditional and let's say simple commodities like soybeans and many others, the trade of food products is not totally easy. So with your broad, vast experience of doing deals in China, do you think it's easy to fast move forward with this goal that she expressed?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question. It's a very interesting question, and let's say my answer is not easy, but I believe Brazil it's moving forward. I give the example of a meat. There are about like up to 4 years ago, only about 50 companies in Brazil could export meat to China. So in Brazil, like the market is much bigger than that. But in the past 3 years, the number came from 50 to 100, so double in 3 years. So it's like something that for the private sector to do alone is difficult. It needs like the government to be involved, like Brazilian government with Chinese government, and then this can put up more speed on the process. I believe the Chinese sector or the private sector, if they work just alone by themselves, it's hard. But if they have like a good relation with the government, and both government they have like good relation, I believe this can work better. It's not only for commodities, even for aircrafts, because Brazil, Embraer was founded. Even my friend, like he came to China in 1992. He was the first employee of Embraer in China. So they had a base in Harbin, north of China. It's famous for the Winter Festival. And aircraft, he used to tell me, like, to sell aircraft, it's hard for us. We need the president from Brazil come to China, and then after the visits, we can sell like a few aircraft, because it's too big, it's too expensive, it's strategic. Like, if this government doesn't like maybe follow some expectation, we will not sell. If we have like mutual agreement in some trade, these big sales will happen. So the public sector is very important.
Yeah. Perhaps Macau and Henshin can be also a platform for this.
Yeah, for sure. I believe so. And in the other way around, I see like not only Brazilians, but for example, I have a friend from Colombia. They sell helmets. Their company is very big. They ship to like 60, 70 containers per month. So it's almost 1,000 containers per year, just helmet. They sell to the whole South America, but except Brazil. He said, oh, it's too complicated. We never understand the tax system of Brazil. But if you have something somewhere like here, and he lives in, he's not the owner of the company, but he controls all the operation in China, all the shipment, and he has direct contact with all the decision makers. And if they could have in Hengqin or Macau someone to explain him the tax system from Brazil, it would be much easier. He come here to the office, they can have a face-to-face meeting, and it's very complicated. Even I don't understand the tax system in Brazil. But I believe Macau also could be very helpful to to inform about like Brazilian like assistant to Chinese mainly who want to invest in Brazil, and also some other foreigners like from Europe or Latin America, whoever want to invest in Brazil. This I believe will be very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, now for you, well, first of all, let me tell that we both are colleagues and doing a big effort to face the big distance that exists between this part of the world and Brazil. It's the antipodes. It's so distant far to get there. And of course that creates a difficulty also for attracting students from there and also for sending our students to Brazil. But we both do a lot of effort. That's something that I would like to mention. But I would like to ask you something related to your expertise in innovation and entrepreneurship. So Brazil boasts a number of unicorns, of high-value companies, some with very interesting names like Quinto Andar in Portuguese, like that, for promoting real estate deals in renting and so on. And it's the most valuable unicorn now in Brazil. And you have iFood for food delivery, e-banks for online payments, CG Bank, Nuvem Shop, and so on. My question is, it's also something that also that I'm also curious about Chinese unicorns, which is when you have a very large domestic market, you go abroad later. Do you think that some of these companies or other high growth companies could easily, what could be done to attract them to the Chinese market and to have them play a bigger role here? Because I think some of these ideas might also be applied here and have some traction in the Chinese market.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, I think the challenge of some innovation companies that they are very focused on local market, right, as a reality, but some are general things. For example, if you think about fintech, which was a big boom in Brazil for the last, I don't know, 10 years, right? We have lots of digital banks in Brazil exploding and making huge numbers. And of course, they are very focused on the regulatory opportunity that we have in Brazil, right? So, but technology is something easy to accommodate if you are able to enter different markets, right? So, for example, we just had now one Brazilian. They started in Brazil, but they already were in Netherlands and also in Portugal, and they came here to the MIF as a payment gateway with some fintech approaches that they want to come to China, right? So this is a clear example that they believe that their product is already mature enough to be able to compete in, again, a very competitive market as we have here in China. So from what I understand, the innovation booming thing like unicorn opportunities are a kind of political and opportunity moment for those companies. This happens as well in China. Some companies, they boom because they are in the right place with the right partners. And this happens as well in Brazil and in the US, right? So statistically, the unicorns are non-existent, right? If you think about. So, of course, they play a big image role in the innovation ecosystem, but I think the major thing that Macau can do is not bringing the unicorns, but bringing the startups that have high value products that can innovate some specific area in China, right? And can create connection with local Chinese partners and then can develop in the Chinese market. So we've been doing some experimental collaboration with some startups from Brazil. So far, the contacts have been very successful, right? So they already have some clients in the medtech area, medical devices and solutions, and they are already operating in China, but they are very keen to use this platform with Macau and Hunting, right? So I think this opportunity is huge, and I think the culture of IPO here is another thing that we have to highlight, right? Because the culture of IPO in the Greater Bay is very developed, and this is something that we don't have very clear, as a target in Brazil, right? You may have some opportunities to go to the market, the stock market, but not as a goal. But here is really like the ultimate step for the startup, right? So I think this culture will be beneficial to Brazilian startups to understand that. Yeah.
Well, that brings the issue of financing, because if financing moves in both directions, that will facilitate also the penetration in the markets.
Yes.
So many companies that incorporate in the US is also both because of financing and the market.
Correct.
So something like that would be very useful. But my question, thank you. My question to you is, of course, about regulation, and this has been already mentioned here. So many foreign firms, especially from the US, have had some difficulty when accessing the Brazilian market. Some through acquisition, some through greenfield investment, and they always get a bit puzzled with the tax requirements there. And you already mentioned that you yourself feel a bit puzzled by them, by when you have the federal, state, and city level.
Yes.
There are many stories about this. So my question is, how can you help Chinese firms to deal with this difficulty and make them feel comfortable? And also, can they do it alone, or should they do it with a partner, a local partner, like joint ventures? Because many years ago, I remember a famous article in the Harvard Business Review suggesting that to invest in China, you needed also always to have a partner, a local partner. So some strategy professors always mention joint ventures as the solution. Would you also advise that in Brazil?
Thank you so much for the question.
It's a great business for lawyers.
Yeah, I want to start off by saying that I'm no taxation lawyer. But even if I was, I would never say that I fully comprehend the Brazilian taxation system. And if anyone says that they do, they're lying. Brazilian taxation system is complex to the point where if I had to bring one single slide, which I did exactly to have this kind of trade, it's a photo, and it's no joke. Someone printed all of the tax regulation that exists in Brazil and made it into a book. It's from the floor to the ceiling. Because we are a federation state, we have 27 entities, and we have thousands of cities. All of them have different tax regulations, and with their benefits, with their disadvantages, with their specific procedures. So, of course, tax is a main concern in doing business in Brazil. That said, from 2023, Brazilian Congress approved tax reform, which, to be frank, came 20 years late, but it's approved no matter what. And it's going to take a 10-year period to transition. So basically, we're moving from a system to another. So there's a bit of dialing in and out of this situation. We're moving from a consumption-based tax to a IVA, right, added value tax based in Brazil. Tax is important, but should not be the key worry. I'm just sorry, extending a bit of my comment, but I think it's a major topic to be discussed. And I say this because we've been having demands from Chinese clients who pick up the phone and tell me, I have a company in this sector where the government has their incentive in Brazil. And I can say, okay, in this area you can, and I'll give you an obvious example. North of Brazil in the Amazon region, right? Polo Industrial de Manaus, the Manaus Industrial Zone, has a tax benefit for industrialization. Okay, so the Chinese clients who has industry products want to establish there. Okay, but why? Oh, because of the tax. Have you taken into account the logistics? Not necessarily. In the end, taxation is not king, right? You have to take care of it, but it should not be the one and only deciding factor. I just wanted to share a bit of these thoughts. And I wanted to comment something that Yuri mentioned, that it's also a common remark. Oh, the taxation, as the same way that I mentioned, that no one can fully understand it. It's also unfair to say that it's impossible to get a hold of. We've been doing that for so many years, right? We as lawyers are actually working around it on a day-to-day basis, and it should not be a fear to the point of impeding certain investments. Something that we do in our firm, and it's been of value to certain clients, is to have almost a fake accounting sheet proposing different solutions for the taxations in different states of different logistics systems, and to try to analyze it in a more holistic way of the pros and cons of deciding into this or other state because of obviously state-related tax, and of other logistics solution. I want to close the bracket here on the taxation law to move to the JV question. Just before a quick comment on the startup technology sector. You mentioned, right? My apartment in Rio is rented through Quinto Andar. I order delivery through iFood. Brazil is a very technology adopting country. And we didn't have, by many years, any Chinese companies there, or at least in a strong position there. As a matter of 6 months, both Kita and Didi food delivery apps established in Brazil, and now they're litigating in court for the anti-competition law. The two of them, the two Chinese, are litigating in Brazil. This is public information, of course, regarding. So I'm just saying that we are a very preeminent market, and there's still some work to be done for the implementation of such Chinese solutions in Brazil. To the JV, short answer, it depends, right? It's not necessary to have a JV. I think the thing that we say the most is translation, not the language, the culture, right? Translation to the Portuguese language is, it's easy to be done. The Chinese directors usually take a translator with them and go into the meetings trying to win the world. This will fail, certainly. Brazil is a different world. We're not Europe, we're not North America. We are a South American country, a developing economy, and we have a specific way of doing business. So my answer is, do you have to have a JV? No. But you have to be adapted to the local values and businesses. Even the Chinese businessmen can make it, but you have to have a team there with knowledge of the market to be able to actually prosper. So, of course, the answer is not needed, but local knowledge is invaluable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, Rodrigo, one of the issues that one of the complementary or different things that you find between Brazil and China is that China is fantastic at building infrastructure, and Brazil has is a bit slow in developing, and now has lots of problems, bottlenecks in harbors, in airports, and of course railway. Railway is indeed something that would be very important. China is fantastic at building that. Do you think that cooperation between Brazil and China could help Brazil to move forward, and in what way? And that's an area of your expertise. You think that this cooperation should be made in a way that is somehow similar to what happened, for instance, in China, when China got a very outside technology for building fast trains, for instance. So how do you think that could be dealt with?
I think so. I think this collaboration can help a lot. To Brazil. Now we are here to looking for partners of technology for our job. Specifically in my company, we build these parking systems. Okay, but it's a whole universe at the parking systems. We need to look for companies of solar panels, the lights to mark the position of the cars, payment. So we can find a lot of partners here to help us in Brazil, and in Brazil too. We can help our technology, specifically again. Maybe here in Macau, we can help this problem with car parkings here. A lot of cities around the world have the same problem. Maybe we can help here too. But the culture, specifically here to Macau, some friends that live here, they told me when I came for the second time to AMIF, the CPOPX, they told me, "Oh, you come here to China. Macau don't have business in Macau. You have to go to mainland China, okay, for the wall." That's not that I want to hurt. Even my companies too, the brands. We have to change that. We have to change to Macau has to be the place to do great jobs, great business. Okay, not specifically mainly in China. Here, I see many opportunities here. I made awesome contacts here to all my companies, for the companies of aviation, the companies of steel and parking systems, and we have a lot of opportunities with EPIN to bring more companies here. Other companies want to go to Brazil, requesting our help. So I think we can help with each other, Brazil and China, specifically to Macau.
Thank you very much. I think we need now to extend the debate to the public, and so I would like to open the floor to. I keep this. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
I could.
Congratulations. The panel has been going very, very well. My name is Eduardo Ambrosio. I'm president da Associação Comercial Internacional para o Mercado Lusófonos. Our association was founded before the forum in the year 2002. We have been doing business with the Portuguese-speaking countries, almost all of them, except a few ones: Brazil, Portugal, Angola, Mozambique, Timor-Leste. My experience, I don't comment about business today. I just want to say that I suggest some improvements in how to do business, how to do a relation between Macau and the Portuguese-speaking countries and China. I think the best thing that the government had done in the past 25 years on the establishment of the forum is to build a service center in Hanchin. The reason being that there are no facilities, no insurance facilities to cover our export products to any country in the world. In Hanchin, we have Sinusure. We are enjoying their services, and we are doing business without any risk. Okay, I think the best thing the government has done in the past 25 years. The second thing is that we can improve really, you see, by setting up a business school in Macau for the Portuguese-speaking countries, students, and also students from China to live together here for 1 year or 2 years, so they know each other, they can learn the languages, so much easier to facilitate them to do business in the future. At the moment, you see, like the field there we had last week, there are a lot of Brazilian entrepreneurs. They are very much willing to do business with the Chinese people. The reason being the obstacle of the language, the barrier of the language. They speak Portuguese, the Chinese speak Chinese. And I was there to do the translation for them. And I make a lot of friends with the Brazilian entrepreneurs. Some are in the gold business, some are in the wine business, some are in the coffee business. And I was very happy. You see, really, I took advantage of this. But I want also the other entrepreneurs to take advantage as well. So I think if you set up a business school in Macau, get the students here to live together for 1 year. They know each other. You facilitate much better. Otherwise, you see, the trend will continue. You see, every year they come here one time, say hello, and then go disappear. No more contact. The second thing you say, I suggest that we can start a soccer training school either in Macau or Hanchin. So we can give a chance to see to the youth, the young generation, you see, to learn how to the technique of football. It is very, very popular in China. And the third thing is that is we can bring a Barreto to Macau. You know what is a Barreto, of course. It's a cowboy show. The festival, they attract every year 2 million people. I already started with the Hanchin government. They're very interested in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Perhaps I would suggest that we take a few. Are we a bit short of time?
The question is for the panel in general. I'd like to hear the opinion under the current circumstances of a shift in the power equilibrium between the US and China and Brazil being a player that is moving to occupy some of that free space. What is the perspective on of the importance of the payment systems, the SWIFT system, and more importantly, the US dollar and CNH or CNY or the renminbi, as you want to call it, because Macau is an offshore center also for renminbi. So we use the pataka, but we also use the Hong Kong dollar. We also are very fluid and liquid in US dollar, but we also use the renminbi. So clients have multi-currency accounts, and we can move easily with that currency. But more importantly than that, at the global scale, the US, as we know, is using the dollar is weaponizing the dollar, as they say. And so it's normal and it's expectable that China, with its economic weight, will have also more parity and at least will grow the weight of renminbi in international trade, in international investment, etc. And also with the advent of digital currencies and the blockchain. I don't know if you have any view of how that can also facilitate trade, namely between Brazil and China, also taking into consideration what most of you mentioned about Brazil being very, also very forward-looking and also developed in terms of fintech and technology and e-commerce in general. I don't know, anyone can pick on this one.
May I comment perhaps on the first point that the gentleman kindly shared on the Hengqin being perhaps the greatest success of this development area. I just wanted to share a few thoughts on the implementation of a solution, a cross-border solution, dare I say, utilizing Macau and Hengqin, because Macau is not an end in itself. Obviously, nowhere is. And Macau having this partnership with Hengqin, both for the land, right? It's great land to develop, but also for the partnership and the proximity, with the central government and the mainland government, allows for very ingenious solutions from the corporate perspective that would facilitate, to my view, so much the financial solutions, as you mentioned, in the insurance industry, between the trade of Brazil and China, right? I've seen, as lawyers, I've seen so many deals not go through because of payment problems. Basically, no middle ground could be reached. The bank would not receive the money in Brazil. The Chinese bank would not do the necessary due diligence. The one in between would create many problems. The KYC would never go through anyway. So you can have all sorts of problems. Integrating this Brazil, Macau subsidiary, Hengqin banking system and Macau banking system working together in a multi-currency exchange. Honestly, I think that we cross off the list so many barriers that this is going to be a solution that I think will bring great effectivity to the bilateral trade. Sorry, just wanted to make this quick comment and thank you for your question. It was a very good one.
I think you addressed also some part of João's question. I would like just to add as well from the second item that you mentioned about the idea of connecting in education, like the idea of business school. Recently, we've been in Brazil, all the universities from Macau. I was there with Professor José Alves from CTU, and I was representing USJ, and all the universities from Macau. We went with the Macau government to visit institutions in Brazil, Ministry of Education, China Embassy, and when we were discussing with the institutions and the ministry, sometimes I gave up presenting my university and started to push to show how Macau can be something very unique in this connection for the education, because we need to have scale, right? We need to make numbers, right? And for this awareness to really make something real in Brazil or even in Portugal. Everybody knows about Macau in Portugal, but still, for example, let's go to business students, right? We have to make engineering students, business students to learn Putonghua, Mandarin, right? I'm very jealous of John Hato speaking in Mandarin here. So I'm trying, but I'm very far from that. But I see today we have like the Confucius Institute in Brazil, and you mostly see many students coming to China that they are already from the language area, right? They are not from business, right? They are not from engineering. They are not from health, right? Of course, you have the exception. What I think is that we have to make this happen, and I completely agree with you. It's not come here for 1 week training. No, it's to stay 1 year, right? To really feel and to connect. So we created one solution that we're trying to promote, that we have our master in business administration here, that we want to bring professionals from the companies to stay here 1 year with accommodation, with a co-working space for them to be here for 1 whole year. They take their master program, but they also stay here 1 year in this calendar, this dynamic calendar that we have in Macau. And maybe from that, they can still work for their company from here, and they can start developing this awareness, right? So that's exactly what I was pushing, right? But this requires funding, right? Oh, for a company, maybe okay. But I think also the government should have a role on that. And that's exactly what I told to the representative of the Ministry of Education in Brazil. Right? I told them, okay, the students need the support from Brazil, right? From the government to come to Macau to understand China, right? I had a few cases already of brilliant students in Brazil with theses or works focused on China that they wanted to come to here to study, and they couldn't because of financial resources, right? So we need to have the support, and then we go to the idea you mentioned, right? Private or government, everybody needs to be together to make the effort to make it happen.
If the time allows, I would like to add some comments. Normally, I follow up, like I've been doing this for about 5 years. I follow up mostly Brazilians visiting China, at least almost 100 days per year. I'm traveling, visiting companies, factories in China. And I see that most of the foreigners, they visit China during Canton Fair. It's an exhibition that is happening right now. So one suggestion is, if you have like some event in here, like this one, it's happening very close to Canton Fair. It would be easier for like foreigners from Brazil or from all these countries to come to Macau. You're already in China, so it will be cheaper. And what you said is true. I have a lot of customers, they fly to Hong Kong because the flight is cheaper than Guangzhou. Though they want to go to Guangzhou, they fly first to Hong Kong, spend 1-2 days, or even go directly to Hong Kong, visit like 5 days Canton Fair, 1 week, maybe some factories, 1-2 days, and go back to Brazil. And right now we estimate at least 5,000 Brazilians visiting China every April and October. So this is the largest like number of Brazilians coming to China. And foreigners, like in total, it's estimated 250,000 foreigners. So if you have like close to these events, some events in Macau, it will be easier to attract and bring some of this public to the city. And besides that, let's say this will be like an offline solution. You will bring like people face to face, and they will visit here, could visit events, company, exhibitions. And besides that, that's the online. We see the online is booming a lot. one example is the Chinese embassy in Brazil. Like they have like an Instagram, and this was very small, like 5 years ago, like 10,000 followers, and now it's reaching almost 500,000 followers. They got like every Brazilians living in China, like I'm living in China. They got like 100 Brazilians living in China, like they're doing master degrees or they're students. They ask them to make videos. So their Instagram is just videos of Brazilians in China, full. And they every day is a different one. So people live in Beijing, Chengdu, in different parts. So they have like almost 500,000 followers now. They did this in 3 years. So I think the key point, I see so many advantages, and today I learn a lot from all the advantage that Macau has as a hub to connect all these. But I think the key point is lack of information. Even China in general, like it's like so big. China is 12% bigger than Brazil in land. If you ask for like most of Brazilians, they don't know anything about China. The internet is changing this. Like up to 10 years ago, Brazil is so huge, population 200 million people, but there were only 5 TV channels. So 200 millions watching 5 TV channels. So whatever they choose to show you, that's all you have. So the internet is moving a lot of this. So right now you have like all these social media, and people are learning more. And I think China, I feel like the past 1 year, I see a lot of influencers in Brazil, like these social medias. They're very big in TikTok, Instagram. They're visiting China and making a lot of videos, and a few of videos have like 10 million, 20 million views, and like it increased a lot in this past year, like the past 12 months. So if you have like influencers coming to visit Macau to post videos, if you do these online plus the offline, you bring like people visiting Canton Fair, visit Macau, because they just need to know. I think even you don't need to put a lot of energy to persuade them. You already have like what they need. They just need to find out this information. So this will be offline and online, like some trials.
Good example, our association, Portuguese courses in Johor for the green air conditioning factory. There's about 30 kilometers away. They have a factory in Manaus, in Brazil, and we train their staff before they go into Brazil for 6 months, teach them Portuguese. And every year there are 2 courses, and so far we have trained over 1,000 students, and these 1,000 students went to work in Manaus, came back, and always come to Macau, speak Portuguese with us, and they also teach other factories, co-workers, how to speak Portuguese. We are very proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I guess we have we can keep this very interesting conversation even better with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So feel free to join us. Wellington Bank is treating us very well. They brought some wine. Let's share this end of the day with some glass of wine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.